a starter incubation run, and so I was gonna have Bub help me put the eggs in here, but I'm gonna take care of that because I don't want to risk these.
Hi folks, I'm Sean the Modern Yeoman, and to those that know me, that know our journey, you know we've been here on this roughly 11-acre homestead, this chunk of land in East Tennessee with my family, my wife and my young son, my parents, and my mother-in-law. We've lived here now for a total of getting close to 4 years. It's been a long time. There's been ups and downs in that time period. Times of progress, times of stagnancy, and times of setback. But through it all, I think the general through line is that the progress that we have made has been slow, and we're okay with that. That's something I like to emphasize on this channel. As long as you're making progress, even if it's slow, that's the important thing. So in that spirit, I thought it would be good to catch up on a very unique chapter in the homestead's history these past 6 months, which started late December, early January, with me resigning my job. I was essentially forced to choose between my job and the homestead. I chose the homestead. I thought it would be interesting to look back on the 6 months that happened since I resigned my job. Let's go ahead and jump in. So I have a little over 2 weeks left at my job before the resignation date is final. And it seems like I'm busier than ever. No. Well, look at this.
Oh, about that.
She's flying after all. I know chickens aren't the most sanitary animals, but you need to clean this up. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's got to be one of the most satisfying tasks that one can do, watching something go from really grimy and gross to clean. I'm not going to say this is spotless. Obviously it isn't. There's still more work that needs to be done, but it doesn't need to be spotless. This isn't the Ritz-Carlton. This is a chicken house. All right, this is much, much better. Fresh bedding down. The discerning viewer might note that this is not straw, but hay. I haven't been able to get my hands on a bale of straw in 2 weeks because people are loading up on it for the upcoming cold snap that we've got. Since I last filmed, it's been a day. It is beautiful, wouldn't you say? It's gorgeous. Dad, this is very slippery, so I'm gonna go down here.
Oh, that's almost pure ice.
Yes, it is. We have a sump pump in the crawl space in the basement that kicks out water. We've got a issue with water getting into our crawl space, and that's a larger trend that I need to address probably this year. Yesterday, when we were stranded and we couldn't get off the homestead, I discovered this thing was frozen. The water in the discharge pipe was frozen, and there had been a little bit of water collected in the sump pump pit inside here, and it was just bubbling. The sump pump was bubbling because it had nowhere to expel the water. That's a problem. I unplugged the sump pump, and I started to wiggle this discharge pipe. I realized it was frozen. There was water inside, and it snapped. You can see where it snapped right there. And it also cracked. You see that little crack right there? It burst from the ice in there. What we're doing today is so thankfully last night, Nana Jana lent me her 4-wheel drive car, and I was able to get off of the homestead. They cleared the roads enough to allow that, and I was able to get replacement pipe. We are going to replace this pipe and put some foam around it, like one of those pool noodles, right, which I think should help protect it from the rare events like this where it gets super, super cold. Oh, you see that?
Yeah. Hey, success.
There we go. Awesome. Oh, nice. It just slides right in. Now, Can we get it through? It's not through yet, so I'm gonna keep feeding it. So, yep.
Yeah, it's still a good tight fit too.
It is. There we go. I was able to slide this in with no issues whatsoever. You can see where somebody put this expanding foam there, and on the other side where the concrete was, but this will easily meet up with the pipe coming directly from the sump pump. Yep, it's working.
That's getting heavy. It's getting heavy.
Check out the insulation. I think this will serve us for at least the rest of the cold snap that we're in. It's hard to believe that a week ago we were in the single digits, just a few days later essentially, and it's in the 60s. I don't need to wear a coat. The grass is green, it's muggy. As of filming this today, there's just 2 days left that I have at work. I cleaned off the roof of the A-frame that I built because they sit up here at night. They roost up here at night and they poop all over it. And I just got done cleaning this thing and look at it. It's nasty again. I'm gonna try and put a line up here. I'll post a little board on either end of the top and I'll string this line that I've got over here. I'll string this line through each of those boards. Just make it tight. The birds won't be able to perch there. That'll hold. That will hold for sure. No, it's not going anywhere.
No, I'm pulling hard with the chickens.
That's solid. All that it's doing is just keeping the chickens off. They'll go up and be like, oh shoot, this isn't an option. We're just giving it a little more tautness. I'm gonna give it a poke. Oh yeah.
If I can keep it.
I think this will be enough. Maybe one thing we can do is just make it a little higher, potentially. The hope is that this just serves as a deterrent and that this is enough to keep them off. All right, folks, it's official. I am now unemployed. Long story short, I was put in a position where I had to choose between keeping my job and moving or resigning my job and staying here. And as you can see, I chose the latter, and I'm happy I did. There's a lot of questions that I'm thinking about. Number one is money. Well, Sean, you supported your family for 2 years on that job. What are you going to do now? You know, we do have some savings, but I still will need to pursue work. And so what I'm going to try and do is pursue part-time work. I need to focus on one thing at a time. And right now, the most pressing thing I need to consider is I will probably be getting more chickens this week, add to the flock. And within the next few weeks, we are going to get some sort of incubation system set up. Also within the next few weeks, maybe next month or two, we're going to be getting turkeys again. First things first, let's get these brackets off. What do you guys think? Just under chest height? They'll still be able to get up there. Again, probably from this bar, they'll need to step up. I think we can get away with this. So the bottom of the bracket, the actual angle of the bracket should be right there. The fence. Oh, it's buried in the grass. I'm gonna put a new tarp on it. That idea of using sheet metal on the sides is becoming more and more attractive to me. If you're wondering what one of the most versatile tools you have at your disposal on a homestead, people like to joke and say things like duct tape. Yuck, 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 that's real funny. But in all actuality, zip ties. You can get so much done with zip ties. They come in different gauges and thicknesses too, so you're not always limited to these smaller zip ties. You can get really thick, heavy-duty ones. Okay, this is really sturdy. This looks good. And whatever I end up using to side this out for the side panel, which right now I'm leaning towards sheet metal, this is a nice solid roof. This is thicker. This is a lot thicker grade of tarp than the blue stuff. I was thinking to myself, it's kind of a joke, like I'm unemployed, but worst case scenario, at least I got a shelter that I can live in. And you want to grab the camera, don't you? Whoa! You want to make everyone dizzy. Oh, you're gonna pull and you're gonna break this thing. Oh, you're so strong. There's a lot of uncertainty still. There's a lot of things I don't know. But boy, it feels good to have time back here and start working on the homestead again. It's been a long time coming. Have you ever been embarrassed and relieved at the same time? Well, this is one of those times. I'm embarrassed because I remember snipping through sheet metal as being much easier than it apparently is. And so it took me all that time to just swallow my pride and grab the Sawzall, and that took 3 minutes, 2 minutes. So yes, I'm embarrassed and I'm relieved at the same time, but I'm a tiny bit wiser because of it. Done is a good place to be. Need a pen? No, this is pretty dark wood, so. Is it cool hand, Luke? Sometimes nothing is a pretty cool hand. What was the?
I don't know if that was.
Oh, it's gonna bug me. Sometimes nothing is a pretty cool hand to have or something.
That might be.
The chickens are watching me with great interest. They're really interested in what I'm doing. They're also interested in the new straw I laid down, which I love straw. One of these days I'm gonna make like a 2-hour video on the virtues of straw. All of the wooden strips are up and they are solid. Now the only thing I need to do is affix the sheet metal. We're done for this section of the day. Yeah, much better. Okay, so this thing's heavy. If I appear out of breath, that's because I am. This thing is very heavy, and that's good. I want this to be solid. This thing is getting closer. It looks a lot better now, and I'm starting to see the shape of this shelter in my head. So Laverne is going to be our new resident queen turkey at the Yeostead. Kathy's mentioned breast chickens. Yeah. And that's something you'll probably hear a lot more of on my channel because she's got me quite interested. It's a French breed of chicken.
It is. It is one of the oldest. It is over 500 years old. Some bona fides.
Some bona fides. Thank you. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. So I may end up working with you guys on getting some breast chickens and starting a breast chicken program.
They are a true dual-purpose bird as far as they will lay 350 to 400 eggs per year, and then they also produce a very delicious, arguably the world's best-tasting chicken.
There's Lenny and Laverne. Lenny as well.
Yes, Lenny A.
I'm probably going to call him Lenny,
Yeah.
but when he's in trouble, I'll call him by his full name, Lenny as well. And so far, our little assembly back here seems to be holding out. We haven't hit the highway yet. We'll see if these zip ties hold and the ratchet straps. Hopefully, here in a few seconds for you folks in YouTube land, you'll see us loading them into the A-frame. I think the plan is to quarantine them here in the A-frame for maybe 2 weeks, give them a little bit of time before I integrate them with the flock. They are used to chickens. They were with chickens over at Two Turtles Homestead, and they'll be with chickens again here very soon. It was a pain in the butt to get this thing installed, and it's not the most beautiful thing to see. It is up here. The chickens will not be roosting on here tonight. I can guarantee it. And I was out at the Kramer's yesterday. I was helping them process some pigs. And Katie walked me around and graciously gave me a starter incubation run. And Bub Henry's gonna watch this years later and be like, I remember this exact day when we did the incubation because that's when I found Dad's hair so fascinating. So she gave me an incubation run of various chicken breeds that they have at the Kramer Life. So I was gonna have Bub help me put the eggs in here, but I'm gonna take care of that because I don't want to risk these. But he was at least present for the inauguration of the incubation ceremony. I found a really nice place in the back office back there that's nice and warm and high, so he can't get to it. And we are gonna fill this up with water and get it running today. And the timer will start 21 days before these things hatch out and we get our first official hatches on the Yeostead. Egg, yeah. Okay, we filled it up with water. We got all the eggs. We tested the turner. Now I'm gonna set my calendar for 21, or set my reminder app for 21 days from now, and they should start popping out. I need to think very short term, and I need to prepare this room for those chicks. So what I'll plan to do, probably in the next week, layer the bottom areas where there's gaps in the wood, get some sheet metal paneling on here just to provide a little bit of a windbreak and help discourage critters from coming in here. So what that will involve, hopefully over the next week or so, is removing everything that's in here, everything that's in this barn stall, maybe except for some of the stuff on the wall, and cleaning it out, getting all the junk off the ground, maybe putting mulch down on the ground, putting sheet metal on the walls, just on the bottom, and then preparing the brooder in here, and then putting everything back in. That's going to be my short-term project over the next week or so. So that by the time the chickens come, by the time the chicks hatch and they're ready to go to be put into the brooder, I'll probably keep them inside. We'll see how they do for maybe a week or two. We'll see. I'm going to be working on building a roost ladder right here. Perfecto. All right, so the angle is right where I want it to be. I think it is. Now let me back it off and then bring it back in. Very solid. I don't need a bolt for that. Will that hold 60 plus pounds of chickens roosting on it every night? I think so. Now let me get the other side. Still a little higher.
We should be solid gold. And I've got a couple of these old cedar posts.
All right, so right along
Yeah.
here.
We got this.
Doing good.
And that
Is that?
is that. Thank you, Laverne. I'll put you back in here so you can leave at your leisure.
Make your own choice.
And they are now free to go. This is your new kingdom, my friends.
That's a pretty town.
Yeah, he is. Bourbon red. I think at this point they're just getting the lay of the land. Checking things out, meeting the local population, hanging out with the locals. To here. You are over 9 feet, so you'll do. A little bit on the dusty side, but it doesn't matter. There. Doesn't have to be perfect. Hopefully it's just a nice, easy... Oh, well, that's easy. Ha! Don't you love it when things like that happen? I was just talking about it. Like, occasionally things will go strangely good, and this is one of those times. Awesome. I love it. Okay. Pretty happy with what I've got. It still needs work, which I'll continue to show you guys. But in terms of how this stall is coming along, it's getting there. Good morning, Lenny. King Lenny greets me every morning when I come out to the barn. Laverne, Queen Laverne, she's still a little bit shy. She's hiding right now. Not hiding, she's off somewhere else. But King Lenny makes it a point not only to come up and say hello to me, but to talk to me. You guys know how much it was bugging me. It was driving me insane. The chickens have not roosted up here anymore. Most importantly, I cleaned the A-frame off, and I'm so pleased that I did. There's still this little thing which I need to figure out. It's official. I did get that part-time job, and I'm very happy. It's an answered prayer. It's something that is necessary right now, and I'm very glad that this opportunity came along. 12 cells per tray, and there's a drip pan, and then there's a lid, and then I'm assuming on top of this lid, that's where you insert the glow light, or the grow light, which we'll get to in a second. The next thing I'm going to lay out are the warming mats. Let's do it. All right, this ought to do the trick. Same thing below. If I were a seedling, I'd be pretty cozy here. I don't know about you, but I think we're off to a good start. There we go.
let there be weird, kind of fluorescent technicolor light. I think for good luck, for good measure, it used to be in my office. St. Patrick is famous for chasing the snakes out of Ireland, so I think it's only fitting we want to keep potential chick predators out of the brooder. And what better token than St. Patrick to do that? I like it. Yeah. We've been talking a lot about getting breast chickens, and I think I might actually take Kathy up on her offer of giving me some breast chicken eggs. So I'm thinking, you know what, maybe one thing I can do, one thing I'd like to do is keep their stock and their lineage. I'd like to breed them, but I'd like to breed them separately from the chickens on that side of the barn, on the south lean-to. So they would require a separate run. I think initially one thing I might like to do is just get those breast chickens set up in here. I would set up a regular fence around the perimeter, one that I could keep off during the day. This would be their home base. This would be their coop. Obviously, I'd need to make some modifications here. They'd need a place to roost. They'd need a place to lay eggs. The big thing I would need to build is a roost. These past few days, he has been a wild man back here. So maybe I can show you an aerial shot of how things look back here. This area right here, we'd like to essentially clear this out so we have one big open pasture.
I want to get it as cleared out as possible before attacking this.
The tree itself. Do you think you're going to knock this one down today, or just finish the brush around it?
No, I think we'll be able to knock that one down.
Oh, that's exciting. What'd you think of that tree, Dad?
Oh, it put up a fight.
Yes, it
In a
did.
grove of what we initially thought were young maple trees, but it turns out they're not young maple trees. They're an invasive species. Let's see if I can show you what I'm talking about. They're an invasive species called sweet gum. The thing about sweet gum is that it's actually really good hardwood, or so I've been told. One of the things that I want to do is start using this wood for infrastructure. I'll need a little bit of cleanup, obviously, but the thing that you want to check for when you get these pieces is that they're alive still, they're springy, they won't break, and that they're of adequate length and girth. Perfect for my purposes, exactly what I need. As you can see, I've been at this for a little while today, and I could honestly keep going because this is a blast. It's really fun finding trees that look right, and it's a bonus because I'm clearing land at the same time back there where it needs to be cleared anyway. So. All right, it fits just fine. It fits great. If you're going to put chickens inside of a barn stall, you need to make sure that that barn stall is sealed off as much as possible to prevent raccoons and weasels and even big rats from getting in and having their way with those chickens and demolishing a flock. So I need to run through it with as much chicken wire as possible to cover up a lot of these gaps that look like this. There we go. That felt good. Not as good as chopping down a giant dead tree in the back pasture, but it felt good. When you're working with chicken wire, to give yourself a lot of overlap between the various pieces or the various strips that you have set up. And make sure it's as tight as possible. Like I said, it's very, very cumbersome to work with, but once you've got it set up, you shouldn't have to mess with it too much. So what a cool surprise to see all these chicks greet us in the morning. They all kind of started out at once, at least most of them did. And you could hear their peeping across the house. You could actually hear them peeping before they even cracked through the egg, which those of you that have incubated eggs before are probably very familiar with. You can start hearing them peep, I think the day before they're set to hatch. So it was such a cool experience to just wake up in the morning and surprise, all these birds are waiting for us. Henry got to hang out and meet the birds as we were taking them out and moving them to the brooder, which was kind of cool. He was very excited about that. I think the primary thing that makes me excited is that we have kind of a self-containing system for livestock, for animals. Yes, these are just egg layers, but eventually we're going to get meat chickens, and we're going to be able to not leave the homestead, or not leave the homestead all that much, in order to get new inputs, new chickens added to our system. That's especially exciting with things like meat chickens, where you can always have meat chickens on the go. Now, yes, there's a whole discussion that needs to be had about introducing new roosters and getting new genetics in there, but the fact is, we have a circular system, a closed system for producing food, eggs and meat with this. I could wax on philosophically about how cool this is and spiritual and all that stuff, but from a practical perspective, this is really cool. This closed system that we have. Another practical consideration is the brooder setup that we have. You may look at this and it looks kind of janky, and it's true, and I talked about this in a previous video, but we've used this brooder system now for years and it's worked out perfectly. We've never lost a chick to predators in this system. So I want to go over it again real quick now that we have some live chickens in here. I've made a lid that has two sides to it. The bottom side is right here, and it's a door. I drilled some holes in it just for air. And the top side is a frame out with some really tight hardware cloth. This is 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/2 of an inch hardware cloth. I designed it this way to where I could open up this top half, it's hinged out, and go in and do everything I need to do, but also the hardware cloth so I can introduce a heat lamp to the mix in case I need to. Now, earlier in the day, obviously I just had the heat panel in there, which I still do. I have two heat elements here. I've got the heat lamp and the heat panel. You may say that's overkill. Typically it would be overkill, but in these first few days, we've actually done it this way several times, where we have both the heat lamp and the heat panel to give them alternate sources of heat. As they get a little older, probably by the end of the week, I'll get rid of one of these. Well, yo folks, I'm very pleased with how this all turned out. 11 chicks, very healthy, running around inside of there out of 12 eggs. That's a very good hatch rate. Thank you to the Kramer Life, both Katie and Nate Kramer, for gifting me with these eggs. I'm so thankful that I have them as friends and that we're able to share resources like this. That was very, very thoughtful of them.
We are planting some seeds. You hear a bunch of clattering in the background. Henry is playing with the seed containers and he is loving it. That's going to keep him busy while we get this done. You know, we've historically direct sown a lot of our greens, but a lot of other things we would buy starts, and it was just convenient and easy, and there's some great nurseries around here. But over the last couple of years, we've noticed the price of plant starts has just skyrocketed. I think what the camel that broke the straw that broke the camel's back for me was
Somebody is enthusiastic about garden season.
He's an enthusiastic gardener. The straw that broke the camel's back for me was seeing a single okra plant was $5. And that's when I was like, you know, we just got to do more seeds. We can't be buying all these starts. We need.
Nice, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Pack your bags.
I'm a rambling man, Mama. I'm a rolling stone. What are these ones?
So we're trying ground cherries this year. They're really yummy. They're almost like teeny tiny tomatillos, but they're sweet.
they seem to be starting as they should. Maybe they're a little leggy, but it's been, what did I say, 4 or 5 days that we planted them. And they're growing, you know? Like I said, perhaps a little on the leggy side. I think it's what you should expect in this situation with that spot. Little pilot hole. And then we crank this thing in. Can you see it? Yeah, this will make things a lot easier. I can just turn it in, get it in there nice and good, and I'll have it facing vertically so I can hang either a chain, well, eventually a chain, but today I'm going to try it with a rope. Be right about here. I can still get a general idea of where that corner is going to be. It's going to be right about here, which means this corner is going to be right here. I hope the weather's nice where you are. If you're in North America like me, then spring is upon us. And depending on your latitude, it may be warmer or colder than where I'm at. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, I guess you're getting ready for fall. Just buying a couple of carabiner clips and 4 lengths of 7-foot chain. The beauty of this is I can adjust it if necessary. So let's get the first one up, see how far it hangs down. It's hanging down almost to the ground, which is good. I can double that back up when I hang the thing, but that's exactly what I want. Okay, let's get the ladder out of here and it's showtime. All right, so I get to decide how high I want it to be. One on. All in all, this looks very sturdy. It's nice and high. It's exactly where I want it to be. I let the chain hang, and then fold this up like this. There's one side. And I do the same thing on this side. And they're both hooked on. And that didn't take long at all. The chicken Murphy bed. I'm pleased. This worked out very well. I'm very happy that somebody suggested this about just being able to fold it up. This works out perfectly. Perfect. What do you think? Not bad, huh? I'm pretty proud of it. But the holes that I showed you guys a couple months ago, well, they're getting bigger. They're getting a lot bigger. And they're getting scarier looking. And they're getting worse. And I'm at the point now to where we at least need to maybe have somebody come out and take a look and advise us on what to do. I mean, look at that. And there's rock right there, which is a good sign, but a lot of it's not rock. A lot of it's just this empty cavern. And they're all in this area, kind of around the base of this sycamore tree. It's a pretty extensive system. I mean, you walk anywhere and you see these big old holes, and they're deep. And so that's concerning on a lot of different fronts. And so now it's time to introduce the teenage chicks to their new living quarters. You guys ready to meet your new neighbors? You're gonna love them, I promise. The moment you've been waiting for. If I can move all 11 of them at once, look how big these friends are getting. They're getting large. It's a short trip. I'll see how many I can do at once. Let's go. Oh, shucks. I should have shut the door. Come on. Let's go. The box just barely fits in. And you guys are free. Welcome home. As I was moving this thing out, this Lowe's box sign popped out that said, welcome home. A fitting message for their first day here. What do you think? You made it. Water. We've arrived. We're here. And they're quite shocked and curious about their new situation. I think they're pretty happy. I may spend some time working on this arrangement here. The cinder block's solid, but I don't want there to be a world where it tips over. I don't think that will happen. I'm glad I left space on the other side of these panels. I was initially thinking of just closing them off, but I want to leave the space so they can, if they go over the panel, they can come back around so they don't get stuck. Dead branch that's hanging right over our driveway. This concerns me because this driveway happens to be one of young Henry's favorite walking paths. So I'm not going to be able to sleep until we take this dead branch down. I don't want it falling down. This may be even better than the previous method for my chicken Murphy bed. Now, you'll note that this only captures some of the width of this particular roost bar here, but that's fine. This thing's solid. I'm yanking on it and it's not going anywhere. One of the things we like to do with compost, our compost pile is mostly made up of things like clippings from yard work and leaves, dead leaves, and mostly a big portion of it is scraps from the kitchen. Coffee grounds, eggshells, old food like leftovers that the chickens don't want, things like that. So there's a nice mix of stuff in our compost, but one of the things that we neglected to add to it the first year, and somebody told me, a commenter told me about it, maybe 2 years ago, is like, make sure to put ash in there. With all of the land clearing that we've been doing back here in the back pasture, of course, been doing a lot of burning as well. And that leaves stuff like this ash, which is important for me to add to our compost. This is just beautiful addition to our compost. Let it sit for a day to dry and then mix it in with the tiller. If you haven't already thought of it or considered it, try putting some of this stuff in your compost pile. It is straight gold. Has been for us anyway. Not as bad as I thought it would be, as easier than I thought it would be. I used flag screws to secure them to both the post on the one side and the cedar tree on the other side. And right here where it's kind of curvy and I couldn't get good purchase, I just rested the branch, the roost pole, in the crook in the armpit between this old fence post and the cedar. That, as you can see, the cedar kind of grew around the fence. Today, I've been visited by Jim and Kathy of Two Turtles Homestead.
Hello, everybody.
They graciously brought me...
Do not drop them. They're very
Yeah, I know. Wouldn't that be crazy if I dropped them right now? These eggs, these breast chicken eggs. think my goal is to get as much of this brush knocked out today. Eventually, as I was saying earlier, we want this to be kind of an area for berries. All of this whole area right here, I want to get knocked out. With the tractor's help, you know, I think we'll be able to get the whole thing knocked out in a few days. But that's the primary goal for today, is to see what's waiting for us under those sheet metal panels. So there's nothing else to say now except let's get started. As some of you know who've been watching along, this will end up being part of our orchard area. And it's crazy to think that just last week, just a week ago, this whole patch right here was covered in both brush and industrial waste. And thanks to the tractor, I was able to get rid of, well, the tractor and a lot of sweat and the chainsaw, I was able to get rid of all of the brush and all of the industrial waste. The breast chicken eggs that we were incubating have hatched out. We had 8 successful chickens hatch. That's roughly a 60% successful hatch rate. And I'm happy with it. These 8 chicks look great. They look great, they're healthy, they're nice and fluffy. They've been very active and alert, drinking their water and eating their crumbles, everything you'd want from a new batch of chicks. I have the Murphy bed that I've created. It's a hanging roost that I can pull off of this hook right there, let it hang, and they can roost on that. We're going to give that a shot. Outside, their run will be the north lean-to of our barn. I think they'll have plenty of fresh grass to graze on. I don't think that there will be a major issue with roaching out the ground. I think that they'll have more than enough forage just for the 8 of them. One of the things I'd like to do is actually have their fence come over here to the compost run. If it doesn't reach, I'll probably just pick up the compost run and move it over. So they'll have access to the compost and they'll be able to turn and work the compost for us. That'll make an even better compost pile than we have currently. This spot is actually great for an actual egg box. So what I'm gonna need to do, I think my first move is to cut out this area right here, which is complicated a little bit by the fact of this sheet metal panel that I put up when we had our piglets in here. Wish me luck, let's get to it.
says this leg attached to wall, so they want the longer side on the wall. This time we have the bottom in the right place. Yeah.
Work a little bit on the trim in here, and I'm getting closer and closer to having this ready for the breast chickens. Good update, we've officially started our garden. What have we got going on right now? We got sweet potatoes, we got okra from seed, we got beans from seed, we've got some tomatoes, peppers, lots of peppers, and of course a lot of greens growing in our greens beds that we just started from seed. So I'm pretty happy with the way things are going. Everything's in the ground. It's officially garden season. We don't have to worry about frosts anymore. Now that we're halfway through the year, am I happy with the progress that we've made? Am I happy with the decisions that we've made? And I'll say for the most part, yes. I think at the beginning of the year, we were pretty certain that we were going to get piglets right away, but very quickly we learned that between me working part-time and Holly working part-time, and all the time in between is taken up with a very active toddler. You saw how active he was. Pigs with a always on 24/7 hot fence are probably not the best idea at the moment. We're going to wait on pigs, and we're also going to wait on sheep. But those are the two wish list animals that we have for the near future. When, I can't say for certain. So we focused on 3 different livestock animals: laying chickens, turkeys, and meat chickens. Our meat chickens are doing well. They're just about ready to go into their coop. They're getting bigger. They're feisty, which I like to see. I like to see when chicks are feisty and hyper. That's a good sign. And ours are very feisty and hyper, so we'll have them in the coop here soon. In terms of how we performed and all the work we did, every week I kind of beat myself up because I feel like I haven't done enough. So it was instructive for me to go through and create this video and see that, boy, wow, I really did accomplish a lot just in 6 months. There's going to be more to accomplish, obviously, but what we've done since January, especially with all the extenuating circumstances, not having my full-time job anymore, finding a part-time job, getting on a new meat chicken program and a turkey program, I'm pretty proud with what we've done. What's happening in the next half of the year? That's something I'll probably tackle in a new video, but we'll focus on what's in front of us right now, which is getting those meat chickens into their run. Probably focusing on getting turkeys bred out. I think that's our next step, is expanding our turkey population. You're going to be there with us. We appreciate it. We love all the encouragement that you guys give through your comments and your emails that you send me. I'm not able to respond to all of them, but trust me, they make a difference, and we do read them all. Until we jump into the next 6 months, remember, as always, slowly, slowly.